Hello, and welcome to the first ever episode of Love is All Around. I'm Ava, your host, and we will also be joined by Sophia Muka today, but more about her later. This episode is titled, Can Love Survive Thousands of Miles? Essentially, it talks about long-distance relationships and how to keep the love alive. I think it's a very important topic to be talking about right now, especially for a lot of college students, as I've met a lot of people in long-distance relationships. I feel like it's often portrayed in a negative light, and today I want to debunk that myth, and I want to talk about it and tackle how long-distance relationships are possible and they can work and thrive. So today I am joined by Sophia Muka. Would you care to introduce yourself to the audience?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you for that introduction. My name is Sophia Muka. I'm a freshman at NYU. I don't know how much information I can say on that. And yeah, I've been with my boyfriend since this summer, and he lives in Paris. I live here, and it's been like some of the best months of my life.
Lovely. If you cannot tell, that's exactly why I chose to bring in Soph today. I don't know if you know this, but Paris from New York, I looked it up, is like over 3,000, so almost 4,000 miles apart, which and a time change. What's that? What are the hours?
It's 6 hours difference.
Jeez. Yeah. So you guys call random times of the day. You're up late at night.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just want you to quickly, or tell us about how you met, because it is literally out of a movie. And if just on a side note, if you are not one to believe in love at first sight, like if you're like rom-coms aren't real, this is gonna also debunk that and tell you that they're based on real life. So
it's so every time I say it, I'm like, I sound like I'm making it up. I promise you I'm not.
I know, that's why I want you to say it.
You can ask him. Okay.
It's amazing.
Yeah. Okay, so I spent a week in Bali, Indonesia this summer because my best friend and I from high school had always wanted to go there, and so we took the fucking long-ass plane ride out there, and we spent a week in a hostel just partying and being at a beach, and it was incredible. And my boyfriend Hugo was also in Bali that same week because he was on his senior trip. He lived in Singapore at the time, so that kind of made sense for them. It was like an hour-and-a-half flight. So for them, it wasn't that big of a deal. For me, it was a massive deal. Anyways, on my first night on the island, I go clubbing, because that's what you do. I had arrived earlier that day, so initially I wasn't wanting to go clubbing at all because I was super jet lagged, super tired. But we ran into some Aussies at a bar, and they were like, "You have to come out. What are you doing?" That's what Bali's for. Anyway, so my best friend and I, we go to a club. We have an amazing night, and Hugo's there with his friends, and he sees me. But he doesn't come up to me because he said he was too scared. But anyways, he gets home. He like debriefs with his guy friends. He's like, "Guys, like I saw such a beautiful girl. Like, why did I go up to her? If I ever see her again, I have to go up to her." They're like, "Okay, buddy, sure." And somehow we got lucky enough, and he saw me the next night at a different club on the opposite end of the island at a completely different time. So he came up to me, and he was like, "I think I saw you last night at this other club." And I was like, "What?" But he was like this tall, French, like gorgeous person who was talking to me, and I ate it up. And anyways, so we spent a week together in Bali. It was amazing. At the end of that, this is not a short fucking description.
No,
I'm going with it.
We need it all.
Okay, at the end of the week, we say goodbye. We're heartbroken. He's going back to Singapore. I'm going back to London because I live in London. And we're heartbroken. We don't know what to do. Whatever. We get each other's information, obviously, because this had been like the best week of our lives. And so about a week later, we're like still snapping. And we talk about like what summer plans we've got. Because this was like June last summer.
Okay.
And he's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna be in Bordeaux in France," which is never each other week, which is west of France, in August. I'm like, "Really? I'm gonna be in the east of France in August." Long story short, he ends up coming to where I'm staying in France for 9 days in August, about a month and a half after we left each other in Bali. And those 9 days solidified our fucking love, and we were attached at the hip. We could not, whatever. But he's going to school in Paris. I'm going to school in New York City. So we're like, this is not gonna work. It does work. We made it like official again. Not that we hadn't been basically dating this entire time. We made it official on September 15th.
Well, okay, so I'm gonna use that to like segue into like love. What would you say your love language is?
Okay, so face to face, it's like physical touch.
Yeah.
I think that's just how I've been like raised. I'm just a very like, I don't know.
Right, and I would guess.
Yeah.
If I were to guess about you, that's what I would.
Yeah.
I
Like
would.
gifts, no. I mean, words of affirmation kind of irk me out as well. Anyways, but then we've kind of discovered with being long distance that like I think we've made up our own version of a love language. We call it our music love language.
Oh, wow.
I actually don't know if I've ever told you this, but basically all the way back in Bali, I made him a playlist of like just songs he needs to know if he's going to be with me. And then he took that as an invitation to make me a playlist. And he made a playlist of like chronologically like our story.
Wow.
So like the first song is called like She Was a Heartache on the Dance Floor.
Oh my God, country, which is so bizarre, but yeah.
Very bizarre, not French or Singapore. But so he would add a song from Bali to France, that a month and a half we weren't together. He'd add like 1 or 3 songs a day. That was like the chronological like our story.
Yeah.
And so music has become our love language. Is like how we sort of like communicate to each other. Like if I see he's added songs to my playlist, like I listen to him. It's like a way to like, you know, so now we just have like loads of songs that we like share, and then when we're together we listen to the songs together, and it's like so sweet because we both know them. Some of them are like stuff I've given him, he's given me.
I think that's so important, and it's amazing that you guys are able to do that. That people, you know, you stick to the like, what is it, 5 love languages? It's you have physical touch, words of affirmation, quality time, acts of service, and gift giving. And I feel like people always hone in, and it's such a big topic now, like on social media. It's like, what's your love language? But those are just the 5, but there are variations. Like music. Who would ever thought of that? But you two did, and it works. Have you ever heard of the investment model of commitment?
No.
Never. Okay. It was new to me. But there are 3 parts to this model. And I think this model, it's in the name. It's the model of commitment, right?
Yeah.
And it really hits the main components of how relationships work and like the commitment level that is needed to sustain a relationship in general, but to remain committed when you are thousands of miles apart or not. Whether you're an hour and a half, 2 hours apart, it's still the commitment, I think, is the key. So the first part is called satisfaction. Second part, quality of alternatives. Third part, investments. So quality of alternative, basically like the perception of how desirable all other people in your dating pool currently are, which is very interesting, especially I think for college freshmen. You just get to this world of like everybody's new, everything's exciting, but I have this attachment somewhere else. How, not even that you would consider going for somebody else. I think this also relates to other people of like just an infinite amount of opportunities. And I feel like it's like a first time your eyes are kind of open to there are other people in the world.
I mean, it's like this really weird thing because though I've only known him like a few months, it's like what we've now like begun to develop is like, you know, when you're falling in love with someone, when you're building a relationship with someone, like every single day you're discovering something new. And this is, I think what for me personally keeps me so attached to Hugo is I've never had a committed relationship like this before. I've never been able to go through the waves of like getting to know someone, not just intimately, but like as a friend, as you know what I mean? Because I always say like when we're together we get the like physical touch aspect, we get to experience each other in 3D form, and that is incredible. But what's equally kind of incredible is getting to know each other like emotionally. So we are so in tune with ourselves in such a short period of time because we are constantly sending each other videos, constantly keeping each other updated, like through all different scopes, like visually, here's a photo of what I did today, here's what I ate, here's who I talked to, here's what I listened to, here's what I learned, here's how I'm feeling, and it goes back and forth like that. So it's like I've begun to like cultivate something so special. It's just kind of like how my time at this school has worked now as a college freshman. I'm like, I have fun, I go to my classes, I meet new people, I interact with the opposite sex. I'm learning what it's like to have guy friends and for there to be 0 sexual tension, which I have enjoyed so much, okay? To not, because you can't help it, guys. If you're attracted to the opposite sex or whatever,
Right.
if you're attracted to whoever, there's always going to be that like underlying like
I'm writing my essay on that right now.
it's like
like
it's always
almost
going to be
impossible.
there. It's almost impossible because we're all freaking hormonal teenagers.
Yeah.
But like basically I've structured my life as such that it's like Hugo lives in this world and he's like my beautiful form of escapism, and it keeps me, I don't want it any other way.
The other two parts, satisfaction and investment,
Mm.
I mean, they apply, but like the investment part is like if you had a house together, if you had a dog or something, like there are those incentives, I guess, to stay in the relationship.
Yeah.
Your investment, I
Oh
would,
shit!
yeah,
Wait, that's kind of insane.
yeah,
We bought this house together. We can't
right.
fucking
Or
break
it's
up.
like you have kids, but it's also
Yeah.
open to like memories and the time you put in.
yeah.
So like your
right.
investment would be you spend so much time exchanging,
So much
talking to each
time.
other, spending your time staying up late
And
to
then-
talk to him, and
yeah.
he's waking up early,
And then him like not being with his family over
Right.
breaks to come
Uh-huh.
and see me
and you're seeing him again, yes, for Christmas.
for Christmas.
Right. Like that is also
Yeah.
important. The satisfaction is really like the overall ratio of good to bad things.
Mm. Oh yeah.
It's interesting because you guys have only been together for since September 15th. You called it.
Yeah,
Yes,
but like
before that,
like June 22nd.
that you haven't been together for like very long,
Mm.
but you are going very strong for what the way you talk about him when you first told me about him. I thought it was a long pre-existing relationship.
Yeah.
Um,
And then you're like,
and I was like, wait, this is like a couple. This is
Yeah,
new. This is
yeah.
really new. So, and I think it's literally been consistent with you since the time I've known you for these
Yeah.
past few months.
it doesn't dip. It's
Which is
crazy.
Very important, I think,
It's
and very says a lot about your
It's telling,
relationship.
yeah.
I'm just gonna throw this at you
Yeah.
because dating apps. We've talked about this before.
Yeah, we have.
Barry, we've also had this.
Oh my god.
Yeah, Barry's behind the computer right now. This idea that that like college kids are using dating apps, and I just personally, I always thought it was a thing of like not an older generation, but okay, wait, we're Gen Z. Is
We're
that
Gen
that?
Z, we're Gen Z, yeah.
The one above us,
Gen X or is it millennials?
millennials,
And then
Thank
it's Gen X.
you. Okay, yeah. So like millennials, I thought it was more of their thing of like. I tried dating in college, I tried dating, and now I just couldn't find any in person, so I'm resorting to dating apps.
And I'm like 30, 40 something.
yeah,
What do I
it's
do?
great because then you feel like everybody else on there is doing the same thing.
Yeah.
Now it's so not that. I mean, there are specific apps like, Christian Mingle and all the stuff like that. Now Hinge is so popular. Hinge is Hinge now. Everybody, if you don't have it, what are you doing? I don't have it.
You got a boyfriend in Paris, or you're Ava.
Yes, yeah, or you're me. But I just curious because you did meet him in person, and you did
Yeah.
meet him so organically and so like I'm gonna say fate. You know what I mean?
You can say it.
That like what are your thoughts about dating apps and being like 18 years old on a dating app? Granted, I will say one more thing. A lot of people use dating apps just for like the pure enjoyment of like hooking up.
Yeah.
So then I think it also complicates, well, if I join a
It
dating
does,
app and I
yeah.
want a relationship, how am I going to convey that? Like it's very confusing.
It is very confusing. I do feel like the politics of like Hinge and Bumble. Do you have Bumble in this country?
Yeah, right? Yeah. I don't know.
Of Tinder, whatever, dating apps at our age, maybe specifically at our school, but however, I do have friends also in Paris, not Hugo.
I mean,
who-
we're in New York City.
yeah, but like this,
Yeah, wait,
I
you're-
think
yeah.
my friend who also lives in Paris, she like called me up about this very issue. She was like, "Everyone here has Tinder. Like, do I download it?"
Yeah.
I think it's very much. I think it kind of feeds into hookup culture here.
Yeah.
I doubt kids our age. I don't know this for sure. Obviously, there are exceptions, but I do feel like the reason why kids our age are using those dating apps is to just like find people instantaneous. I do think it's kind of a sad phenomenon
Mhm.
because it makes total sense the direction like our society is headed in with like
Right.
digitalizing everything.
Right.
And I am extremely lucky that I have met my boyfriend the way I have met him.
Mm-hmm.
I like me personally, and this was even before I met Hugo, I don't love the idea of like the how I met your mother/father is like through Tinder. But I get it. Like
Right.
what your example about like I've not had success in the dating pool, like there's a fun in meeting someone face, even if it's for a hookup thing.
Right. And I feel like being in New York City, that it would be so accessible to be like, I'm going to go out to a restaurant
party!
Yeah, and find somebody there. That's what you used to do. But now it's like they're lazy almost.
Why are we like then it just becomes so surface level.
You know what?
Am I attracted to them?
Right. I don't know what it was like for you, but for me in high school, I would have friends, they'd be talking to this guy on Snapchat. And I'd be like, how did you, because I was just amazed. All these girls were talking to all these guys. I'm like, how did you meet him? And they're like, oh, over Snap. Like, they just added them on their Quick app.
I know, it's so weird.
How? You've never met him. You know nothing,
So
and
weird.
you just clicked on him and just started talking.
So that's different,
it's
though.
like dating app, but it is.
From
yes.
that, though, you cannot tell me those people are going to fall. Like, that's a rom-com
Right.
type thing.
Right.
I just think...
But it to me, this just feels like the extension of that. And since I feel like we kind of, not grew up doing that, but like, if that was what you did, and now you have a dating app to make it almost easier to be like, everybody on here is looking for the same thing I am, as opposed to just like adding 15 guys and just talking to them all and figuring out which one you want to hang out with.
There beckons the question of like, so I want to say two things. Number one, attraction is more than just surface level shit.
Right.
My boyfriend's gotten a lot hotter the more I get to know him, because you're just like, oh my God, you have so many layers. You're a beautiful human, and it's great. And then secondly, it beckons the question of, why are you all on this app? I know why I'm on it. I got to admit, guys, I did download it when I turned 18. I had it for like 4 hours because I was like,
it's
18.
fun.
I got to download it.
Yeah.
I felt so icky. I felt so icky when I downloaded it because it was like, these guys are just looking at me and are like, piece of meat.
Yeah.
Like, even if that's not the case, like, it's gross. Like,
right. And I just watched Love Hard.
Yeah.
The dude totally fishes her with the rom-com on Netflix, sort of the Christmas movie. And it's like, it makes so much sense because these people, they know that they're going to be judged on looks, so then they become self-conscious. And then, you know, whether you, it's a very whole different world.
Your first perception of a person is like just the exterior, which is what we do day to day just by talking.
Right.
But like, it's even more so when you're talking to like a robot, or not a robot, but like a screen, right?
Who know? Yeah, you have no idea.
Texting, I've learned with long distance, like texting, I've now gotten to know like how he texts and what he means what. But like sarcasm or what, sometimes it doesn't get conveyed. It gets lost in translation.
Especially if you don't
Sofia Coppola reference.
Especially if you don't know their voice yet.
Exactly.
Like if they're new,
you just don't know.
Right. But I do want to. You said voice notes all the time, and voice. Before you never thought of using that beautiful thing.
Oh my God, it's so beautiful.
Do you use it, Barry?
I use voice notes all the time.
Dude,
Gosh,
it's
I
for the
just
lazy,
missed
but
that.
it's so good.
It is so good, and I think
for
that's
multiple
very
reasons. For multiple reasons. There's like the whole, you get to hear their voice.
And then you don't have to text.
And then
it's
you
so
have
much
to text. Yeah.
Anyway, it's a whole crazy world, and I think having you share this story of how you met Hugo and that you're still going strong is beautiful. Thank you so much for joining me today, Sofia. I hope all the listeners at home have regained some faith and love. And without further ado, cue the end music.